Hello and welcome to Continental Prime here on News Central Television, reaching you live from Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Sulai and later the headlines for this hour. Democratic Republic of Congo celebrates 61 years of independence. Lawmakers in Nigeria will start discussions on the country's controversial petroleum industry bill on Thursday. EU agrees to set up a military mission in Mozambique as the southern African nation battles insurgents in its Cabo Delgado region. Details shortly. Well, the news begins in Central Africa, where the Democratic Republic of Congo is marking its 61st anniversary of independence from Belgium. For the second year in a row, the people of Congo have not celebrated this national day by performing rallies or ceremonies because of an exponential rise in COVID-19 cases. Nevertheless, heads of states have sent congratulatory messages to the mineral-rich country. Joining me now for more is DR Congo journalist Kambale Musavuli. Good to have you join us today. It's quite key here for us to say congratulations and happy independence anniversary. But for the second year, the anniversary has been marked on a low key owing to COVID-19. What are some of the activities that usually come with a celebration of Independence Day in Congo?
It's a bittersweet for us to even celebrate the Independence Day because we believe that we did gain political independence in 1960, but we are still in the fight to gain our economic independence, and many African countries are doing the same. At the André Bouin Center in Kinshasa, today they organize events. They met with some of the market women, they met with some of the members, reflecting at what has unfolded for the past 61 years for the young generation of Congolese people. And the one thing that we emphasize with the people that we work with on the ground in the DRC is that Congo's independence is not a national celebration, it's a continental celebration. Congo will not be independent if it wasn't for African freedom fighters, the Pan-Africanists, the Kwame Nkrumah, the Julius Nyerere, the André Bouin, those who came together in 1945, first in Manchester, and then later in 1958 in Accra, to discuss how to liberate Africa. And many of them, most people do not know, many of them were actually in the Congo. So as we celebrated this year, the 61 years of our independence, we are reminding young Congolese and allies that this was a continental affair and we wouldn't be independent if it wasn't for Pan-Africanism.
Well, no doubt, Kambale, one of the key things Africans will be looking to asking is looking at the wealth, talking about the natural resources of Congo in a 61-year history. What's your assessment so far of how your country has used the resources to improve the lives of its citizens?
When Patrice Lumumba started his fight in the late 50s for us to gain independence, the message was simple. We want to control the land. We want to control the resources. We want to exploit those resources for the benefit of the masses. The last aspect of control of the resources for exploiting them for the benefit of the Congolese people have not been achieved. And it's been 61 years, it has eluded us for that control. Of course, Congo's wealth is estimated at trillions of dollars. We have copper, gold, iron. They even just discovered 2.5 billion barrels of oil in Lake Albert in the mid-2000s. So we have the same challenge as many of the African countries that have resource wealth, where the wealth is actually going to mining corporations, going to Western countries and not benefiting the people. But the struggle is ongoing, and I don't think it's only a Congolese problem. We can look at the challenge in a country like Mozambique. We can look at even in Nigeria with the oil, who controls the oil, that we as African people, as we look at the Congo, we have to ask ourselves, why did Kwame Nkrumah write the book called Challenge of the Congo? He understood the importance of the Congo. Congo since 1996 has had a war where over 6 million Congolese people have died, but the wealth has not stopped from leaving the Congo. Kwame Nkrumah said that in order to liberate Africa, we must liberate the Congo, and we have to pay attention about what's happening there. So we Congolese, as we continue to fight, we continue to call for everyone around the world, especially Africans, to say, if Congo is free, Congo will provide electricity to your countries. Why? Because in 1955, it was discovered that the Congo River can provide the electricity to the entire African continent, Southern Europe, and have a little bit left for the Middle East. Congo, according to the FAO, just published a report this year saying that 1 out of 3 Congolese is starving, right? We are at the brink of starvation. But it's definitely a contrast to the reality of the Congo. Congo has the agricultural capacity to feed the entire world until 2050, when the world's population is 9 billion people. So right now, we can already feed the entire world with our agricultural capacity, and we use less than 5% of our arable land. So I'm talking about this potential, and then I'm showing also the contradiction and what we'll say about what is happening to the Congolese leaders. You know, are they Congolese leaders? Yes, we have Congolese leaders that don't serve the interests of the people. We've had an election in 2018, which was more with irregularities, though now there is a president there, signing contracts left and right in different mining corporations, and not allowing people to have the determining say. But in the final analysis, even though it sounds as a doomsday story, I still believe that the young Congolese people who believe in the ideals of Patrice Lumumba, who believe in the ideals of a free and liberated Congo and Africa, will continue to fight until we gain our economic independence.
You know, quickly here, before I let you go, you've highlighted quite a number of issues, pre-independence and now. And that is why the hashtag and the talk from Congo is bleeding. So what can Congolese and the continent do to stop this bleeding?
Africans and people of goodwill have to look at the situation in the Congo as their own issue. We did this when there was the apartheid regime. When South Africans were faced by the apartheid regime, we as African people came together and said that what was happening in South Africa is a crime against humanity, and we mobilized for that. The call for Africans today, as Congolese are fighting to gain their second independence, their economic independence, wherever you are, support the struggle, share the story. I just said on your show that 6 million Congolese people have died since 1996 in the conflict to gain control of resources, some of the mineral resources using your cell phones, your laptop, and your DVD players or VCR. We all have these cell phones that we use. We don't know that it takes the death of Congolese for that to happen. So as we hear that there is this horror that's happening in DRC, we should speak about it in our country. We should ask our leaders, what is it that we are doing to bring peace and stability in DRC? Are we engaging with the African Union to bring peace and stability? But right now, people do not know. So the first step is to share with people that Congolese are calling for anyone of goodwill to come at their side as they fight for a free and liberated Congo.
Many thanks, Kambale Musavuli, for unpacking this for us.
Thank you.
We're moving to west of Africa, where the Nigerian parliament says it will commence a debate on the country's controversial petroleum industry bill on Thursday. Now, this followed the presentation of a report by the Senate Joint Committee on Petroleum Upstream, Petroleum Downstream, and Gas Committees. Nigeria's President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, also revealed that the group managing director of the country's oil company, the NNPC, has been summoned by Parliament to brief lawmakers before the commencement of the debate.
I move that the Senate do receive the report of the Joint Committee on Petroleum Downstream, Petroleum Upstream, and Gas Resources.
Distinguished colleagues, those in favor of the motion that the Senate do receive the report of the Joint Committee on Petroleum Downstream, Petroleum Upstream, and Gas on the Petroleum Industry Bill 2021, say aye. Those against any, the ayes have it. This report, a copy each, must be made available to each and every senator today, this afternoon. We will be considering the report on Thursday. So we have today, we have tomorrow, and up to the morning of Thursday, to look at the report, so that when we consider the report, we'll be doing so on the basis of what we have been able to read from this very important report.
Nigeria's election umpire, INEC, has expressed concern over the attacks on its facilities and the violence that have rocked several polls in the country. Now, this was at the Commission's held its 14th public lecture in honor of the late former Director General of its Electoral Institute, Professor Abubakar Jimoh. Several speakers at the lecture say there is a need to address violence during polls to ensure confidence during Nigeria's electoral process.
There have been over 42, attacks on about 42 of our offices nationwide. We therefore feel seriously concerned about this challenge.
Elections and INEC are now under siege of incendiary attacks by forces that see INEC as proxies for their enemies and for their situation of poverty. The political mobilization of ethnicity, couched in hate speech and pursued under a zero-sum approach to competitive electoral politics, has heightened the human security deficits that are fueling internal wars on the scale the country is now experiencing.
The constant fears expressed today by the political, of course, by the electoral umpire, which is INEC, the electorate themselves, and Nigerian citizens in general, at the possibility of insecurity at elections, banditry, kidnappings, and even threat of highly dangerous criminal elements marauding the country as a whole. For an umpire and all our stakeholders who are conscious of our responsibilities of ensuring the conduct of free, fair, credible, and inclusive elections, security issues must be frontally discussed and tackled.
Well, in the meantime, the leadership of Nigeria's main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, have demanded Nigeria's parliament reject the nomination of Loretta Onoche for the position of an electoral commissioner in Nigeria's Independent National Electoral Commission, as they marched to the country's parliament in Abuja asking the lawmakers to protect the country's democracy. The national chairman of the PDP, Uche Secondus, says Onoche is a registered member of Nigeria's ruling All Progressives Congress and cannot be trusted with the responsibility to act as an unbiased umpire in the country's elections. Secondus asked the lawmakers to do the needful in the interest of the country.
We have come for this peaceful protest that the National Assembly should reject her. Yes. It is important at this point that the country must know that in a crisis situation like this, on insecurity and economy, what we need from Mr. President is to conduct free and fair elections. That's all. This woman is APC. This woman has joined APC. She's a card-carrying member of APC. And from Anocha local government, she will pollute the atmosphere at INEC. And she will rig election. Yeah. She is a specialist in manipulation and rigging of election. Yes. And so the National Assembly, the Senate, should reject her totally. Yes. Before she pollutes the country. And make sure that we return the country into sanity.
This letter will be presented immediately, right now, to the Senate President. What was that for him? A copy will also be given to the Senate Chairman, Gaya, the Chairman of INEC. And I can reassure you that justice will be done.
Now, the United Kingdom has denied its involvement in the arrest and extradition of Nnamdi Kanu, who leads a secessionist group in southeastern Nigeria. A spokesperson for the British High Commission said Mr. Kanu was not arrested in the UK for extradition purposes. Mr. Kanu, who holds a British and Nigerian citizenship, was detained on Sunday with the help of Interpol and flown back to Nigeria to face justice. The IBOP leader faces treason-related charges in Nigeria. His trial is expected to resume on July 26. Now, ending child labor requires a multifaceted response that addresses the area of forces, economic, social, cultural, and legal that contribute to people's vulnerability and enable abuses. The International Labour Organization, ILO, has called on all stakeholders, particularly media practitioners, to choose specific actions that contribute to ending child labor in Africa. News Central's Omolola Ololade has more on this.
Child labor thrives as an industry despite advocacy efforts because communities in Nigeria, particularly the cocoa and gold mining industries resident in these communities, do not fully understand the effect of this menace on the society. International Labour Organization, ILO, in affiliation with Acceleration Action for the Elimination of Child Labor, ACEL Africa, organized a workshop for media practitioners on relevant skills necessary to effectively carry out their duties as purveyors of information.
One of the activities of the project is to engage the media and also the national orientation agencies in increasing awareness on the impacts of child labor, and also to implement, we have the social, behavioral and communication change strategy on the elimination of child labor. So, you know, NOA, National Orientation Agencies, are very close to the grassroots. So we are focusing on supporting NOA and the media to ensure correct sensitization program and also appropriate and effective reporting on child labor issues.
Experts have emphasized the importance of solution journalism as a key strategy in the fight against child labor.
They can't stay in Abuja and reach everybody in the local governments and, you know, communities and sites where those things are prevalent, where child labor is prevalent. So they have to mobilize the media, because through the media we can reach, you know, quite a mass of people. Through their content programming, through their media reports, we should be able to do that.
Stakeholders involved in the fight to eliminate child labor commend the International Labour Organization and affirm to make judicious use of the training in providing adequate information concerning one of the underreported crimes in Africa.
It is our hope now that we have been better educated about this menace, that we will take the message to our various states, the impact communities in our states, and educate them.
In spite of this important commitment and actions from all stakeholders, the situation of child labor in Africa would continually require urgent attention to support government and social partners, including the media, to end all forms of child labor in the continent. Omolola Ololade, reporting for News Central.
A 5-year-old girl has died while being airlifted to a hospital after being rescued from a boat sailing off Spain's Canary Islands in the Atlantic. Now, she died of cardiac arrest, but a woman and a man also facing medical emergencies survived the trip. The three were among 36 African migrants whose vessel was rescued by a merchant ship 200 nautical miles south of Tenerife. Now, one passenger was already dead at the time. 9 are believed to be missing, while hundreds more from several boats were either rescued or landed. Now we head to east of Africa, where a man extradited to Rwanda from the Netherlands has been sentenced to 25 years in prison for genocide crimes committed when he was 19. During Jean-Claude Yamaremia's 5-year trial, he denied being involved in the 1994 genocide, which led to the death of around 800,000 ethnic Tutsis and moderate Hutus in 100 days by Hutu extremists. He was sent back to Rwanda by the Dutch authorities in 2016. The 45-year-old defended himself, saying his mother was a Tutsi. The High Court judge said he had been a member of a youth militia that hunted and killed members of the Tutsi community in his neighborhood in the capital, Kigali. Now, the United Nations says it needs urgent access to tens of thousands of vulnerable people in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region. The UN Children's Agency said roads need to be opened and humanitarian flights allowed in to deliver essential supplies, as more than 30,000 children risk imminent death. Now, the UN agency says there's also a need to ensure the restoration of telecommunications and power to humanitarian assistance people. Now, the calls come as a government official in the capital, Addis Ababa, said the military could retake Tigray's regional capital, Mekelle, in 3 weeks, if necessary. The capital was seized on Monday by rebel forces. In Southern Africa, ambassadors from the European Union have agreed to set up a military mission in Mozambique to help train its armed forces battling insurgents in the country's northern region. Wednesday's approval of the EU training mission comes as regional powers are also looking to bolster their support for Mozambique's fight to crush the insurgency. Foreign ministers from the 27-nation bloc are formally signing off on the mission at a meeting on July 12. Militants linked to the Islamic State group have ravaged the gas-rich Cabo Delgado province since late 2017, claiming some 3,000 lives and displacing 800,000 people. Coming up, updates on the coronavirus across Africa as Rwanda reviews COVID-19 restriction measures owing to a surge in cases. Stay with us. Welcome back. We continue with the news on updates on the coronavirus pandemic in Rwanda, where authorities have announced a review of COVID-19 restriction measures due to a surge in cases and the emergence of new variants globally. The new restrictions stipulate that schools and higher institutions in the capital Kigali and 8 other locations will remain closed effective July 1. The government said the Ministry of Education would communicate provisions for students sitting national exams in July of 2021. Now, movement in the stipulated areas have also been prohibited between 6 p.m. and 4 a.m., while all businesses must close by 5 p.m. Social gatherings, including gatherings held in homes and family visits, are also prohibited. Now, Uganda's health ministry has revised the timeline for COVID-19 testing before travel from 120 hours to 72 hours. In a statement, the health ministry said the new directive takes effect from July 3. The statement said the new directive is against the background that Uganda is experiencing a resurgence of COVID-19 in the country. In particular, several variants are circulating both in the country and across the world. The ministry reiterated that all COVID-19 protocols for travelers must indicate travel as the test's intended purpose. Meanwhile, 2 people have been arrested in Uganda for giving out fake COVID-19 vaccines, while 1 more is on the run. It is believed that they may have injected up to 800 workers at private companies that had arranged vaccinations for their staff. They're charging between 100,000 Ugandan shillings and 200,000 Ugandan shillings per jab. The Health Monitoring Unit of the State House says the team is testing the composition of the fake jabs. Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa has announced additional tighter measures to control the spread of COVID-19 in the country. This follows a spike in COVID-19 cases and death over the past weeks, which saw the government introducing localized lockdowns in some areas around the country. In a statement, President Mnangagwa said the new measures, which are with immediate effect, will run for the next 2 weeks. The president said commercial transport would continue to operate to allow the economy to continue to run. He said travelers from countries with Alpha and Delta COVID-19 variants would be quarantined, while those with fake COVID-19 certificates face custodial sentences. Now, Malawi's health ministry has announced that the country is now experiencing the third wave of COVID-19 following an increasing rate of new infections and death recorded over the past 7 days. Cumulatively, the country has recorded almost 36,000 cases, including about 1,200 deaths. Now, the health ministry observed that the third wave is coming when people have generally relaxed in their adherence to preventive and containment measures. No COVID-19 vaccine doses were administered over the past 24 hours as the country completely ran short of the vaccines. Well, in the populous West African city of Lagos, the government is insisting that human organ donation, harvesting and transplanting must go through a department established by the state to look into such procedures. This, it says, will ensure that the illegal trade of human parts is nipped in the bud. This was the crux of the public hearing held at the Lagos State House of Assembly Legislative Chambers on Wednesday. Now, News Central's correspondent Mary Chinde tells us more.
10% of the world population are affected by chronic kidney disease, and thousands die each year due to one organ failure or another. In the West African city of Nigeria, it is the public hearing of the Lagos State Legislative Committee on Health to discuss the bill on organ harvest and organ transplantation, the first of such bills in the country.
It is indeed the first bill in the country, and I'm sure it's also a pioneering move on the continent. The demand for organ transplantation is rising dramatically with the development of medical technology, medical practices, and also we are finding more and more ways of extending people's lives and also the quality of lives by using person-to-person organ transplants.
What lawmakers and major stakeholders in the health space are affirming here is that to avoid illegal trading of human parts, there must be government regulations guiding the process.
In Lagos, we don't want any of our citizens to be taken advantage of, either through due process or illegally. And at the same time, those who are going to be recipients of the donor, that the whole process is internationally benchmarked and that we're not doing things that are, below standard or substandard that may compromise the health of either the donor or the recipient.
This is public hearing, input of the public into the bill, for us to be able to have a bill that will stand test of time. So it is highly practicable. It is it's an important bill. It will stop illegal trading of human parts.
Some ethical issues are already criminalized in the bill, which is good for the system. But that is what, if you go and do this transplantation, you will see that in the last section, the penal section, all do's and don'ts. When you do this, so and so fine, 1 million fine, or 10 years imprisonment.
With the bill being passed into law in less than 60 days, there are hopes that organ donors and persons suffering from organ failures can be sure of better days. Mary Chinda for News Central.
When the news returns, an agreement has been reached between Israeli authorities and settlers in a remote outpost in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. We'll bring you more on this and other stories after the break. Join us again. Jewish settlers have agreed to quit a remote outpost that has become a flashpoint for clashes with Palestinians who also claim the land. The agreement comes under a deal aimed to address an awkward political test for the new Israeli government. Under the agreement with Prime Minister Naftali Bennett, the settlers will leave Givat Aviator outpost in the Israeli-occupied West Bank. The hilltop settlement outpost near the Palestinian city of Nablus was established without Israeli government permits in May and is now home to more than 50 settler families. The United Nations says ongoing negotiations in Vienna, Austria, offer a critical opportunity for the United States and Iran to return to the full implementation of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action and Security Council Resolution 2231. And the Secretary-General for Political and Peace-Building Affairs, Rosemary DiCarlo, stated this on Wednesday while addressing the UN Security Council. DiCarlo appealed to the United States to lift or waive its sanctions outlined in the JCPOA and extend the waivers concerning the trade in oil with Iran. She also called on Iran to resume the temporary technical understanding with the International Atomic Energy Agency.
It is therefore essential that all member states promote a conducive environment and avoid any action that may have a negative impact on these ongoing diplomatic efforts, as well as on regional stability. I echo the Secretary General's appeal to the United States to lift or waive its sanctions outlined in the plan, extend the waivers with regard to the trade in oil with Iran, and to once again facilitate nuclear-related activities consistent with the plan and the resolution.
Iran continues to disregard the provision of 2231 that calls upon Iran not to undertake any activity related to ballistic missiles designed to be capable of delivering nuclear weapons, including launches using such ballistic missile technology. We share the concerns stated by the E3 and Israel in their letters regarding Iran's ballistic missile activities, and we reject Russia's and Iran's assertions that these activities are not covered by 2231.
We have recently heard, including in this meeting, discouraging statements from a few council members pointing their fingers at the victim instead of demanding the culprit to act responsibly. They have deliberately ignored the fact that Iran's steps in ceasing implementation of some of its commitments are remedial in nature. They have called on Iran to come to full compliance with its JCPOA commitments as if it was Iran that withdrew from the JCPOA, as if it was Iran that reimposed or introduced countless inhumane sanctions with the publicly declared objective of starving an entire nation, as if it was Iran that brazenly threatened all states either to violate Resolution 2231 or face punishment, as if it was Iran that pursued maximum pressure policy, and as if it was Iran that made every attempt to kill the JCPOA and Resolution 2231 forever.
Ms. DiCarlo for her briefing.
Well, in business, the World Bank expects Kenya's economy to grow by 4.5% this year as vaccinations and easing of lockdown helps the East African country recover from a COVID-19 induced slump last year. Just on Wednesday, a biannual report by the bank said growth for Kenya is expected to climb above 5% in the subsequent 2 years. The bank said the projection for this year's growth is based on firms boosting production and investments as lockdown measures are lifted. The Bretton Woods institution urged the government to enhance bank supervision after the quality of assets was hit by the impact of the coronavirus crisis. It also urged the government to stick to its debt reduction path by raising more revenue and cutting wastage. Well, I'll go to Tolulope at Deleru Balogun for the rest of the business news.
Welcome to Business on NC Continental Prime. I'm Tolulope at Deleru Balogun. A former governor of the Reserve Bank of Malawi, Dalitso Kambambe, and 3 other former senior officials have been charged with 4 counts of financial impropriety
including money laundering at a magistrate's court in Lilongwe. The charges follow the arrest on Monday and come in the wake of a forensic audit by Deloitte, which showed the central bank made several irregular payments to companies linked to the former ruling Democratic Progressive Party, including to a local bank listed on the Malawi Stock Exchange. Kambale, who has denied any wrongdoing, has not yet entered a plea. After being replaced at the central bank by a new president last year, he joined the Democratic Progressive Party and is expected to run for the party leadership before the next national election in 2025. Kambale, who is an economist, has held several senior government positions, including secretary to the Treasury, before his appointment to the central bank. He remains in custody after a ruling on his bail application was postponed. Kenya Airways has announced the resignation of the only KLM representative on its board. Joseph Barnados Vantra stepped down from the Kenya Airways board during the company's annual general meeting on June 25th. KLM Royal Dutch Airlines currently owns a 7.8% stake in Kenya Airways. The Dutch airline previously owned 26.73% of the national carrier, but its ownership fell to 7.8% after a debt restructuring program in November 2017. Now, following the restructuring program, KLM was regulated to having just one member on the Kenya Airways Board of Directors, down from 2 members. The latest data from oil cartel OPEC has shown that crude oil production in Nigeria fell by 6.32% to 1.344 million barrels per day in May, compared to 1.429 million barrels per day recorded in April of 2021. The report also indicated that Nigeria's average daily oil production in the first quarter of 2021 was 1.404 million barrels per day, compared to average daily oil production of 1.301 million barrels per day recorded in the fourth quarter of 2020. With Nigerian production showing no signs of improving and questions being asked about the actual volume of proven oil reserves, the federal government has charged oil and gas companies to find more reserves. The director of the Department of Petroleum Resources, Awuli Sarki, disclosed that out of the 7,000 oil reservoirs in the country, only about 1,700 are in production. However, many believe that passage of the petroleum industry bill is the only way to attract investors to the industry now. The rehabilitation of South Africa's poultry industry, which has set local producers and importers on a collision course, has already created 4.7 billion rand worth of growth in the industry and 1,298 jobs since early this year. Local producers said the growth excludes benefits in the feed manufacturing industry, the grain industry, the packaging industry, and other sectors as the target of lifting the gross domestic product from 48 billion rand in 2019 to an estimated 54 billion rand in 2022 is in sight. South Korea is investing in energy-related projects on the African continent. This follows the Korea-Africa Energy Investment Framework Pact that was signed on May 28th. The African Development Bank, the Korean Ministry of Economy and Finance, and the Export-Import Bank of Korea signed an agreement under which Korea will provide $600 million in co-financing for energy projects alongside the African Development Bank. The framework has a peculiar focus on renewable energy solutions in Africa, including generation, transmission, distribution, off-grid and mini-grid, policy and regulatory reform, as well as energy efficiency and clean cooking projects. The facility is expected to help African countries transition to green energy while simultaneously improving access to energy. And that's business on NC Continental Prime. I'm Tolulakwe Adila Balogun. There's more news right after this.
Well, you're right, Cholu. We have more. And at this time, we go to the digital team to summarize some of the top trending stories of the day. Sheon Bankole has it all.
Yeah, so as you scroll through social media today, you'll find intense conversations that have been stirred by various topics. We'll take you through the backstory of each topic and what people have been saying about them right about now. Welcome to NC Trends. I'm Sheon Bankole. We begin with the death of Davido's close associate, Habib Ulfman, also known as Obama DMW. The road manager to Davido, who survived by a son, died of suspected heart failure in a hospital in Lagos on Tuesday. He has since been buried according to Muslim rites in Ekpe, Lagos. Obama DMW is the second close associate of Davido, who has died in the last year. In December 2020, Davido's bodyguard, Tijani Olamilekan, also known as TJ, died after a battle with an illness. In October 2017 as well, the famous singer lost 3 friends to death in 1 week. Do you remember that a video went viral earlier this month where one pastor prophesied that Davido would be poisoned by someone who lives in his house and he will lose something in his body leading to handicap? Well, the singer's response was, God will expose and deal with any wickedness around mid-tweet. Now, straight to Instagram, let's see some comments on Obama DMW's death. All right, first we have this one from Lady_Joss, who says that if it is true that smoking led into this, please, if you're a smoker and you're seeing this, please stop smoking. Yes, please. It's Yinka Official put out this one. This is sad. Please, it is imperative that you go for a regular medical checkup. If your body feels uneasy, go for a checkup, talk to your doctor, know your numbers, that is, check your blood pressure often, and know your BMI. Don't ignore your health. Don't ignore your body. Kamakamaya put out this comment that reads, you can actually enjoy life without smoking and drinking your liver to death. Retweet. I just said I should remind you all, rest in peace, Obama. We now move to Ghana, where President Akufo-Addo has commissioned the Toyota Vehicle Assembly Plant, which will now assemble some models of Toyota and Suzuki vehicles for Ghana and the West African sub-region. It will also make products affordable to the local consumer. By assembling cars in Ghana, the vision is to make Ghana a fully integrated and competitive industrial hub for the automotive industry in West Africa. This good news has been met with lots of mixed reactions from Ghanaians and even Nigerians as well. Let's go to Twitter to see some of them. Abi Robin put out this tweet that reads, I have never heard of car industries in Africa. And if you all see or hear of a car just made in here, then it's a big lie. What they do is assemble the car parts which they have made from foreign countries like Asia and European countries. Well, I live in Africa and I love Africa too. I love Africa too. George Development put out this one that reads, is Ghana becoming an auto hub for the region? Toyota opens a second auto assembly plant in the country in less than 1 year. Volkswagen established a plant last year. Now that's a very big one for Ghana, and that's a big one for Ghana. All right, Breke put out this one finally that reads, where are the jobs and the money to acquire these vehicles as if they are moderate when they are locally produced? Fix the country, Mr. President. So he reminded the president of Ghana that thank you for the cars, but fix the country. All right, finally, in Nigeria, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has resumed online continuous voter registration ahead of the 2023 general elections. According to the commission, 42,211 Nigerians have registered via the portal so far. The National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, has confirmed that the online CVR process will go on for at least 1 year, and the physical CVR would commence on July 19th at all INEC offices nationwide. This way, those who are unable to register online will be attended to. Now, Nigerians on Twitter have had a lot to say about this. Let's check out a few reactions. Hashtag #EndSARSNow Patriotic Nigerian has this to say. Please, guys, let's keep the number of applications rising and complete the process too. Yes, please, guys, go and register. Bad politicians are getting jittery over it. Hashtag Election 2023 is important to our history, friends. Hashtag INEC. Now, Kanye girls, go get your PVC. Let's keep the energy. Yes, please, go guys, go get your PVC, and then the registration is online, so what's stopping you? Finally, we have this one from Classic Dude who says, let's keep our teeth, tell your neighbor. Yes, please, tell your neighbor. Tell all your neighbors that are not on social media. Educate your environment about getting the PVC. Thank you. All right, now this is where we wrap things up on this segment. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook at News Central TV to share your thoughts, and subscribe to News Central TV on YouTube. Thank you for watching. I'm Shion Bankole. Let's get back for the rest of the news on NC Continental Prime. Well,
thanks, Cheryl. Now, in sports, Leicester City have added another African striker to their ranks. Now, Onye Obaro has the rest of that story and more. Good to see you again, Onye.
Good to see you, Sulai. Okay, in the world of sport, we can go straight to Leicester City, who have signed a Zambian striker, Patson Dakar, from RB Salzburg for a 5-year deal, thought to be worth £22 million. The 22-year-old has scored 61 times in the last 87 outings for the Austrian champions. He was named the Austrian Bundesliga Player of the Season after scoring 27 goals in 28 appearances for the club. Dakar has scored 7 goals in 22 international appearances and was named the Confederation of African Football's Young Player of the Year in 2017. Now, Nigeria's Sport Minister Sunday Dare has criticized Super Eagles coach Kenneth Rowe for not showing enough faith in the home-based players. The minister, who was speaking ahead of the home-based friendly between Nigeria and Mexico, questioned the attitude of the Franco-German coach towards the players. Dare also accused the former Gabon coach of discriminating against the players and urged the Nigerian Football Federation to call him to order. Rowe has built his team around the foreign-based players, although the duo of Anayo Ngwala and John Noble have also been invited to the team for the last 4 matches.
His attitude towards home-based players is unacceptable. It is negative to our football development in this country. And I call on the NFF to call him to order. I call on the NFF to hold him by the contents, by the letter of his contract. But beyond that, he needs to shut up and do the work for which he was hired to do.
Now, ahead of the Tokyo Olympic Games, Ashley Buhai is set to represent South Africa at the Tokyo Olympic Games in the women's golf competition, which runs from August 4 to 7. Buhai, who was South Africa's top-ranked player, is ranked 76th in the world. She qualified 33rd on the International Golf Federation and will be one of the 2 players in the 60-player field from Africa. Maha Hadawi of Morocco, ranked 418 in the world, is the other. Buhai would join by 2 South African men in the golf competition, Garrick Hugo and Christian Buzidenhout. And now to anti-doping violations. Bahrain's World 400 meters champion Sawa Eid Nasser will miss the Tokyo Olympic Games after being given 2-year ban by the Court of Arbitration of Sport on Wednesday for an anti-doping violation by missing out of competition's test. Sport's highest court, however, said that the Nigerian-born 23-year-old would not be stripped of her results from the 2019 World Championship, as it is sufficient evidence that she did not gain from doping practices then. The Court of Arbitration of Sport in November registered an appeal from the sport's global governing body, the World Athletics, against an Athletics Integrity Unit disciplinary tribunal decision to clear Nasser of committing an anti-doping violation. According to the World Athletics rule, any combination of 3 mixed tests or failing to fulfill within that in 12-month period by an athlete constitutes a whereabout failure violation. And now to cricket. The Cricket World Cup Division 2 series that Namibia was supposed to compete in Spain next month has been postponed to next year due to the worsening COVID-19 situation in Namibia. The International Cricket Council recently announced that the series involving Scotland, Namibia and Nepal had been postponed due to the worsening situation in Namibia, where rising COVID-19 cases had impacted training preparations and the tightening of restrictions have reduced travel options. The series, which forms part of the League 2, which is the 2 steps away from the Men's Cricket World Cup to 2023, has been postponed to July 2022. This after exploring options to also stage the event in Spain this summer, which became unfeasible. Now, Namibia's national coach, Pierre de Bruyne, yesterday did say it was a big disappointment. Finally, to the Wimbledon, South Africa's Kevin Anderson has been eliminated to straight sets from Wimbledon 2021 by world number 1 Novak Djokovic. The defending champion chasing his 6th Wimbledon title and record equaling 20th Grand Slam won 6-3, 6-3, 6-3 The 34-year-old, who made just 6 unforced errors, called his performance almost flawless. It was the 4th Wimbledon meeting between Djokovic and Anderson. Their last meeting was in 2018 final, where Djokovic also won in 3 sets. The Serb is one of the first to reach the 4th round, with the tournament still playing catch-up with the first-round matches because of the rain-affected opening days.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that hurts. That's painful. If you're Anderson.
And there we call it a wrap. In the world of sport, I am Onyechi Obaro. We just say goodbye to the South African there who went against #1, Novak Djokovic.
Well, a good one there for a lot of Africans, apart from, Sulai, the Bahraini Nigerian born. But again, I didn't see that coming from Nigeria's sports minister. More like telling the coach, shut up and do your work.
That is a straight command coming in from there. But we'll hope to see what comes out of that, as Nigeria's Super Eagles B do have to face Mexico. If they get to win, maybe his job is hanging in the balance.
Certainly so. Thank you very much, Onye.
Thank you so much, Sulai.
All right, time for us to check out what to expect in terms of sunshine and precipitation across the continent. As it at this hour. But before we go, let's take a look at the big stories. The Democratic Republic of Congo has marked its 61st independence anniversary today. Lawmakers in Nigeria will start debating the country's controversial petroleum industry bill tomorrow, Thursday. And finally, we told you that the European Union has agreed to set up a military mission in Mozambique as the southern African country battles insurgents in its Cabo Delgado region. That's it on the news for this hour. Don't forget to follow us on social media or at News Central TV. You can also download our mobile app on App Store and Play Store. You can also watch News Central live on Star Times, Channel 274, Airview TV, Channel 23, Vision 247, Free TV, as well as on YouTube. I'm Sulaiman. Many thanks for watching.